Bitcoin is close to becoming worthless.
Let's go. Now, what's the Bitcoin?
Bitcoin's like rat poison.
Yeah. Oh,
The greatest scam in history.
let's get it.
Bitcoin will go to fucking zero.
Yeah.
Alright, you ungovernable misfits. I'm your host, Max. Everybody knows that Bitcoin is useless, worthless, and doomed to fail. But what if everyone's wrong? What if it's the system that is doomed to fail? Join me as I speak to some of the brightest people in the space and slither to the deepest, darkest depths of the Bitcoin rabbit hole. Welcome back to Bitcoin Monthly, the show you need if you want to keep up to date with all of the developments in Bitcoin, the things that matter outside of the price and the noise and the bullshit. If you want to know about software updates, you want to know how to use the tools, keep yourself private and secure, this is the show for you. If you've been listening for a while and you enjoy the show, we would really appreciate it if you can share this with friends and family who might be starting to use Bitcoin and help them avoid all the bullshit out there. Before we start, I want to thank everyone who's been sending in boosts. It really is incredible to see how this is growing. I think 70 or 80% of our listeners are now listening on Podcasting 2.0 apps, which is incredible. And every time we get streamed some sats or get sent in a boost or a question, we really do appreciate it. I also want to thank all of the lightning disrespecters. Some of you will not use Podcasting 2.0, you will not use lightning, but you are sending in Paynim boosts. That is very much appreciated, so thank you to all of you. And everyone who's been buying the clothing, buying the artwork, and sharing this show with friends and family. It all really helps. Finally, I want to say a huge thank you to Foundation Devices. Foundation Devices help keep this show running, and they do things properly. Everything they do is fully open source. Their hardware is absolutely beautiful, and it is fuckwit resistant. I use this all the time. I have no issues with it. I don't manage to break it like everything else. It is piss easy to use. And that's what you want from your hardware. You don't want to be worrying, getting scared, and making mistakes with your life savings. You can use their companion app, Envoy, which makes labeling very simple. You can do backups that are encrypted, so you keep all of your labels, or you can use this with Sparrow. It really is the best hardware out there, and if you are scared to do this by yourself, you can go to any of the guides out there that make it very simple. They have them all on the website as well. And if even that is too much for you, you can pay an extra $99 and you can have Bitcoin QnA himself hold your hand and walk you through the process. Check out their beautiful new website at foundation.xyz and use the code ungovernable for $10 off every passport you buy. Enjoy the show. Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, bright and early. How's it going?
Very good. Second coffee of the day.
Oh, nice.
Already starting to need a piss, but I'm going to try and hold that in for this, just for you.
Well, looking at the list, you might be holding it for quite some time, so I hope you're ready for a wait.
How about you, mate?
Going good, can't complain. Well, into the midst of summer now, and it's actually warm in the UK. I don't know about where you are, but yesterday I actually didn't feel cold, which was nice.
It's beautiful. I'm already getting a tan, looking golden.
Nice. Been watching the Euros?
No. You know when people say that phrase, they're like, oh, I couldn't care less, mate.
That's you.
But literally, because people normally say, like, oh, I couldn't care less, but it's because someone's said something about them and they do actually care, but they say it. I literally couldn't care less.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. I don't even know why I brought it up, really. It just popped into my head and I thought...
It's just one of those things you've got to say as a bloke, isn't it? Oh, you're watching the Euros?
Yeah.
No, I'm fucking not.
No, I literally couldn't give two shits about it.
Good. I do give two shits about your trip to Oslo, though. How was that?
Oh, nice segue. Yeah, really good. So this was my second consecutive year going out to Oslo for the Freedom Forum, which is hosted by the Human Rights Foundation. Bit of a different, not strictly a Bitcoin conference, but it is kind of heading that way with the amount of Bitcoiners that were there this year. So it kind of, the reason that the Bitcoiners all attend, obviously, is that, freedom tech, freedom money provides a tool for people in oppressed regimes where one of the main things that happens to these people, amongst many other bad things, is that they get financially oppressed and they have their bank accounts frozen, etc. And, Bitcoin provides them with a relief valve or an escape valve to kind of continue with their daily activities in a way that can't be censored or is much more difficult to censor. So there was loads of different talks of people that have been through, what can only be described as a really terrible time in life. Most of the time for no reason. If there is a quote unquote reason, that it's kind of something like just putting your head above the parapet and trying to challenge the status quo, where there's might be an overbearing dictator in a certain regime. And, obviously if you try to, speak out against that, then they come down on you like a ton of bricks and make your life really terrible. And some really, really harrowing stories that, I said this last year, I say it again, that almost brought me to tears many times. People literally, just locked up, thrown away the key for, just wrong think or speaking out. So a real slap in the face, but also quite motivating as well. A couple of these stories, they're not all obviously Bitcoin related, but there are a couple of these stories where Bitcoin has been used and is acting as a tool for freedom and has helped these people improve their lives or continue their cause. So I always find Oslo, for both times that I've been, really kind of invigorating experience and, reinforces why we do what we do and why we're passionate about this Bitcoin thing.
Every month we complain about the state of the US government and the UK government and Euro government generally.
Mm-hmm.
We have some shit things happening, but when you put it in comparison to the stories you would have heard, I haven't heard the stories, I can imagine what they might be like. Yeah, it kind of brings things into perspective, but also, I guess, a reminder of like, this is why we fight, so we don't end up with that shit happening for us.
Yeah, exactly. You've got to act before, their power gets too great. And that seems to be a fight that's been had all over the world, whether it's openly dictatorship or, one that's done behind closed doors, like in most of Europe. Yeah, it was a real wake-up call. But outside of that, obviously really cool to get to kick it with some really, really cool Bitcoiners and people that are philosophically aligned. Finally got to meet Mr. Raw. So it was great to finally shake his hand and thank him for what he does. So that was great to share a beer with him. And, there was just loads of cool people there. It's just great to catch up with people in person. It's a completely different vibe.
Yeah.
When you sat sinking a few pints and...
Did you remortgage the house before you went? Because it's fucking expensive out there.
Yes, it's not a cheap trip. Yeah, it's very expensive out there. But as a city as well, like I love Oslo. It just feels everybody's really polite. You don't feel like you're going to get stabbed walking down the street. Everywhere's clean. Everything's efficient. Public transport's on time. Yeah,
but it is like 36 quid for a sandwich.
Yeah, and it doesn't go dark either this time of year, which I know that's kind of stating the obvious for somewhere quite far north in the middle of summertime, but I've been there twice now and it still doesn't get any less weird when you come out of a bar at midnight and it's like still daylight. Yeah,
they got the opposite as well, where you can go very north at a certain part of the year and you just have darkness for like months and months.
That would be so grim.
Pay them a lot of money though. They get paid a lot to go up there because no one wants to, and you just live in darkness. Probably devs would do quite well up there, actually.
Yeah, they do that voluntarily. In other news, I am kind of a big deal in the mining industry now. Don't know whether you've heard.
Oh, let me guess. Is it small and sat on your desk?
I have 1.1 terahash.
Baller.
So I'm going to mine a block like any day now.
I hope you're mining on Ocean.
Absolutely not.
What are you doing?
All the way, solo? Baby. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Solo mining, public pool. Just got 2 bit axes just sat on my shelf behind me. Obviously, before everybody jumps in the comments, yes, I know they're not profitable. And yes, I know I'm throwing money down the drain because, electricity prices in the UK are extortionate. But it's been a really good learning experience.
Mm-hmm.
Mining was one of the spheres in Bitcoin where I hadn't really paid it much attention, mainly because I just knew it wasn't attainable for me because of electricity prices and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been a worthwhile experience to kind of get one up and running and learn about all the different metrics and efficiency and stuff. And it really brings to life some of the stuff that you and John talk about on the monthly mining show. It makes a bit more sense now. Plus, it's just a nice little thing I've added to my OCD list now, where I wake up in the morning, come into my office, and look at my bit axes, and are they still hashing?
Yeah.
Yes, they are. Great.
Nice. Yeah, it's cool. I think it's good. Like, it's getting more people into it, and John will tell you this. Like, it's an addiction. You start with a bit axe, and then it's 2, and then you're like, it's nice to have a couple of terahash, but wouldn't a couple of 100 be quite nice? And then it just snowballs. So I think a lot of people will get addicted to it. Most of the people who are in the pleb miner group, it's like part hobby, part business. They really enjoy the tinkering. They like to do builds and play around with immersion, or what can I do with the heat? And it's like golf, but less shit.
I like that analogy. But yeah, it's been cool, and I'd urge people to give it a go. And yes, you're not going to make any money, but loads of people buy lottery tickets, so I like to just look at it that way and leave it running and see what happens. Housekeeping news, we have a couple of releases this month. Passport 2.3.1 is now available. Some bug fixes, and we've added a couple of wallet application supports. So we've added Theia wallet export option. So Theia, for those that don't know, is kind of
Multisig, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like a collaborative multisig with a very slick mobile first approach. Their app is really quite nicely designed. It was a pleasure kind of testing that out and working with them to get Passport implemented. So check that one out. We also have Coinbit's export option, which is a US only based exchange, I think. They have added Passport support so that you can kind of scan in your export and then not reuse addresses when you're doing your daily, weekly, monthly stack. If you're a Coinbit user, then you can now do that seamlessly into your Passport straight to cold storage.
Was that a slip of the tongue, or did you mean to do coin bitch?
Is that what I said?
It sounded like it. It may be me. It's like a Freudian slip. If you're a Coinbit user,
that's
like that.
I might see if I can get coinbitch.com. It's a good domain, that. And yeah, the third wallet that we've added is Zeus. Very excited about this one. Evan, anybody that listens to this show knows that we're big fans of Evan and the Zeus team.
Yeah.
Very cool app that, predominantly is for controlling like a remote control app for your node. But more recently, they've added support for, an internal Lightning node on your phone so that you don't need to run your own if you don't want to, and you're fine with the trade-offs of that. Well, now you can connect it with Passport to manage your on-chain wallets. And here's the killer bit. Once you've got it connected, obviously, you'll be able to see the UTXOs and the coins within your offline Passport accounts. You can open and close Lightning channels directly from the Passport and back to the Passport when you close them in a single transaction. So Zeus does all the magic in the background. Obviously, you're still moving the funds into whichever node you have connected, so they don't remain cold. But there's no more, like the previous flow was, okay, I've got cold storage sats, I've got a Lightning node, I want to open a channel. I send from Passport to my Umbrel or my Raspberry Blitz. That's one on-chain transaction. Then I open the channel. That's another on-chain transaction. And then the reverse is also true when you close it. So you close the channel, the funds go back into your LND on-chain wallet. To get those back to cold storage, it's another on-chain transaction. So 4 transactions in total for the life cycle of a channel. Now with Zeus and the Passport integration, it's 2 transactions for the whole life cycle. So it's, you've halved your on-chain footprint and cost.
Which is kind of the whole point in the first place, because most people are using Lightning to save on the fees. So
right, exactly.
Yeah, so if you're doing smaller amounts and you're doing 4 transactions in a high fee environment, you might actually end up being worse off. So that's actually really big, and it's a lot easier and more simple. So we like that. Very nice.
Yeah, definitely. And I believe that it's not just Passport that Zeus supports in a similar vein. I'm pretty sure they do a couple of other cold storage solutions as well. So if you use any of the other options and you're a Zeus user, check it out. You might be able to save yourself some on-chain fees.
I need to speak to Evan again, don't I? It's been fucking ages.
Yeah, I got a lot of time for Evan. Just like the way he operates. He's just in the weeds, cranking out awesome updates. Never really gets involved much in any kind of drama.
Yeah.
He just ships.
Yeah, I need to get him back. I really enjoyed chatting to him last time. I just haven't because I haven't been using Lightning, but I'm starting to ramp up again now with all of the ungovernable misfit stuff. So I think it's about time.
Let's make it happen.
Yeah.
Envoy version 1.7 released just this week, a couple of days ago. Headline is here. You can now buy Bitcoin directly within the app via a partner service that we now operate with called Ramp. Obviously, this is a KYC service, and the level of KYC that you will have to give depends on your jurisdiction. Sometimes it's very little, and in other jurisdictions, it's an egregious amount. So, very slick user experience if you're happy with the KYC trade-offs. The cool thing here is that, in Envoy, if you've got a mobile wallet and then you've got a couple of Passport cold storage accounts all connected, you can buy Bitcoin once you've got this set up, in a couple of taps directly to any of those accounts. No need to copy and paste addresses, no need to leave Envoy. It's all just a couple of taps and it all goes straight into whichever account you choose, and you can change between them at any point as well. So very slick user experience. We've also got signposts now and links out to peer-to-peer options. So we showcase the more private options. Would love in the long term to kind of directly integrate those. I know a couple of them have APIs, but obviously that's a much bigger lift that would require a lot more work. We also now have a built-in map so that you can search your local, any area, but it will default to your local area to find the nearest Bitcoin ATM so that you can go and get those sweet no KYC sats. Obviously, the no KYC part depends on the ATM itself, but we will signpost you to anything that's listed on coinmap.org, which is the map that's kind of driving that under the hood.
Just to dig into that a little bit, because I saw this posted on Twitter the other day. I was like, oh, that's really cool. And then I thought, is it cool in the UK? Because it's been a long time since I've used an ATM, and it used to be, and we're talking a while ago, that I could buy I think up to £400 was the limit without any KYC at all, with nothing, no phone number, no nothing. You could just go and do it. I believe it's changed now to at least it's got to be a phone number, and then others are more. Do you know what the state is and if there's any that are recommended for people?
In the UK?
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah.
So in the UK, I honestly have no idea. It's not really something I look into because I know for a fact that there's nothing within a reasonable distance to me. I think most of them are down in the London area, but obviously can't speak from experience in terms of what kind of information they require. I mean, we're in the UK, so I don't I don't mind making a guess to say that they probably all require a driving license or something sample. Like that. Yeah, exactly. So I'd be very surprised if there are any nowadays where in the UK, that is, where you can get away with just a throwaway phone number. One thing I know we have a lot of American listeners, is that the coin flip machines in the US tend to be the most recommended from privacy conscious individuals, where you can just under, I think it's $1,000 per purchase, that you can just give it a phone number.
Well, that's pretty decent.
Yeah, I mean, most people aren't stacking more than that in any one hit, are they? Unless your name's Michael Saylor. So yeah, check out the coin flip ones. I believe they come highly recommended if you're stateside. Finally, just to wrap up the Envoy side of things, we also now have a link out to Azteco vouchers. And you can also redeem Azteco vouchers in the app, which has been in there for quite a while. The addition for 1.7 is that you can now also redeem BTCPayServer vouchers, which was a recent update to the BTCPayServer side, where you can kind of, if you're an in-person merchant or online, to be fair, you want to do refunds or you want to do giveaways and basically just print your own version of the Azteco voucher from your BTC Pay store, where it obviously takes the funds from your BTC Pay wallet. You can print those into QR codes and hand them out for whichever reason that you see fit, basically. And Envoy will just scan that QR code, show you the details of the voucher, and then deposit it into whichever of your Envoy accounts that you choose as well. So just a simple QR code scan, and you can get those sats deposited straight into the Envoy app.
Very slick.
What else have we got? Oh, still on the foundation stuff. There's a lot going on. We finally have a UK reseller. Long overdue. But yeah, if you're a UK Bitcoiner, you can now buy directly from one of our partners, which is the LNBits team.
Oh, shady bunch.
If you go to shop.lnbits.com, you'll see Passport listed there. Obviously, they're a verified reseller. They buy direct from us. So, there's nothing to worry about from a kind of security perspective, they are a well-vetted and long-standing company. Probably longer than most, in fact, Ellen Bits. It seems to have been around for as long as I can remember. Great guys behind the team as well. Obviously, I won't dox any names, but I know a few of them personally and, come highly recommended.
Yeah, I can confirm. Really, really decent, honest, proper people.
What else have we got? Oh, I launched the new support documentation website for all things foundation related. Been a long time labour of love in the background. I just gave the documentation site a bit of an uplift and brought it more in line with the design prowess of our recently updated main website as well. So it doesn't look like it's getting left behind. And finally, two more things. 2 new Multisig tutorials are out, or the second will be out by the time that this podcast is released. First one is using Sparrow in a multisig setting with 2 passports and a Blockstream Jade. Got the whole thing done, set up, backup, and spending in like 10 minutes. The second video, which is to be released, but again, will be released by the time you're listening to this, people, is a Blue Wallet multisig with 2 passports and a seed signer. Once again, the video is about 10 minutes for setting it up, backing it up, and learning how to do a spend as well. So trying to keep them short and punchy, but there's, there isn't actually much time cut out that in post-production. You can literally do all of what I've just said, apart from waiting for like confirmation times on the network, in like 10 to 15 minutes.
Fucking hell. That's pretty impressive. When people say it's too hard and too tricky and all the rest of it, well, obviously not.
Testament to the work that's gone on behind the scenes at all sides of that. Obviously the signers and also the clients as well. Sparrow and Blue Wallet make it pretty easy to get things set up and backed up. So hopefully these videos will show people, especially those that think that they need to take the next step into multisig, which, as we've waxed lyrical about before, is not for everybody. They can see that it doesn't actually need to be as scary as some people might say. But again, just want to stress it's not for everyone. Just because there's a couple of videos coming out, don't think that you need to go and upheave your entire self-custody solution and kind of move to multisig just because QnA said it was a good idea on a podcast.
Definitely don't do that. Definitely don't do that. Are they already out?
The Sparrow one's out right now. The Blue Wallet one is I just need to put the final touches to the editing. Will probably be out later today, which is Friday the 21st of June for the listeners, or it will be early next week. But yeah, it'll almost certainly be out by the time this hits the feeds.
I'd imagine so. If you send me the links, then I can put them in the show notes.
Definitely.
Click away.
Sorry to carry on the shield, but this is a cool one and an important one and something that I'm very proud of. Not that it come out of my wallet personally, but we have contributed, done a 50 million sat donation to the p2prights.org fund, which is the main fund that's backing the Samourai wallet defense. Obviously, we recognize, and we've spoken about this before, so I'll keep it brief, but we recognize internally at Foundation and obviously on this podcast as well, that this fight is important for 2 reasons. Obviously, I don't want to see 2 individuals go to prison for the rest of or a big part of their lives for basically doing nothing wrong. But also that if that does happen, hopefully it doesn't, that it's going to set a huge precedent for the rest of the industry, which will affect everybody, including us at Foundation. So the contribution that we've made is to kind of support the entire industry as well as just the Samourai guys, because this is a very important fight. So I was very proud that we were able to do that. And, it may not seem like a large amount of money, but hopefully it goes some way to helping support the guys' defense and, getting them the best representation that they can so that they can fight this.
Speaking with your sats, I love it.
Oh, we also, sorry, I keep forgetting little tidbits of extra piece of information, but we also had a promo code as well. So if you're buying a passport and use the promo code Free Samourai, it will automatically donate $20 of the proceeds of that sale straight to that defense fund as well. So
nice.
we're kind of giving away some of the profits. So yeah, just wanted to bring that one up as well.
Very nice, mate. Right, should we do some boosts?
Hit me.
Late stage hodl, 55,555 sats. Thank you both, as always. Thank you, late stage hodl. I appreciate you, mate.
Yeah, thanks, man. That's a lot of sats. Appreciate it.
Brother Stacktoshi. After binging Ungovernable Misfits and going back a year, I made the switch from Trezor to Foundation devices and feel much safer. I used the pod promo but never got the VPN. But that's okay, as long as QnA sent Max some sats, it's all good. Keep up the great work. we'll get on that. I don't know why you didn't get the VPN. Q, any ideas?
Yeah, well, firstly, thanks for going back through the archives, and also thanks for choosing Foundation to store your sats. It does mean a lot. Apologies for the mix-up, or you didn't get the free voucher. Yeah, you can either email me, qna@foundation.xyz, or just hit me up on Telegram or Twitter. Just need your order number and I can look into that for you, but we'll definitely be able to rectify that for you. Apologies.
Excellent. Right, so we'll get that sorted. And yeah, thanks for going back a whole year. That's fucking cool. Appreciate you, mate. #Slutette. QnA actually using Join Market. I can't believe my ears. Fair enough. Thanks for all you do.
Yeah, we got there in the end, didn't we? After talking about it for 2 or 3 years.
Was it 35 months?
Is that how long this has been running? Holy shit.
37 months.
Jesus. Wow. Yeah, so covered it at length last month, but I haven't used it since because, for the reason that I stated last month, chain fees they haven't been as low as I would like, and Join Market is very heavy on chain fees. So I've not done any more testing on it since, but thanks for your support, #Slutette.
But you did it. It was an experience.
I finally did it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did learn a lot, and hopefully, the listeners were able to kind of pick up on some cool bits of information from it last month, and hopefully they don't get burned like I did with the fees. So
yeah,
it might be a worthwhile exercise for the others as well.
You and Urban Hacker both got burned. Rod Palmer, Hoddle. No message, but 23,472 sats. Thank you, mate. I appreciate that.
That seems like a really random number. Is there significance to that one? I always look at the numbers of the boost.
He's a creepy guy. So I'd imagine it's some sort of sex thing. I'll find out.
It's like a signal to the devil or something.
I don't know about devil, but it'd be some sort of kinky or weird thing.
Oh, okay.
Something about smoking Marlboro Reds with some body part, or it'd be something weird with him. I can tell you that for sure. Oh, another weird guy, John. I know who I want to take me home. Warm orange tart sounds like a vixen. Yes, she does, mate. Expatriotic. But Max, we have cashew and Fedimint. ... I assume we were slagging off the state of privacy. Yeah, I mean, that's going to fix all our problems, isn't it, Q?
Yeah, we fixed it. It's done. Just throw all your sats into a mint. Job done. We actually have a question on that later, so we can maybe get a bit more into the details.
Wave. Fuck, I wanted to donate more. Also, say Bitcoin, not Twitter. I'm dumb, lol. Okay, mate. Thank you. 8 Mithrandir. Antomous dead? ?
Is he?
I fucking hope not. I love that guy. But he's quiet. Let's say he's quiet. I think he's got his head down, either building something incredible, completely possible, or degenning.
Yeah, I think the latter.
He's probably being a fucking degen, isn't he?
If you're going to time those swings on Dogecoin, then you've got to be glued to CoinMarketCap, right?
You've got to be up to date. Yeah, you've got to have your finger on the button. Fundamentals. Keep it real, brothers. Don't bother reading this. Just did. How'd you feel about that?
That's how ungovernable Max is.
Exactly. You tell me not to read something, it's being read. Mr. Crown. I like the little change in the show format. Good. I'm very happy that we make you happy, Mr. Crown. You make us happy every day with your beautiful art and keeping the website looking good, so I'm glad we could please you. Bon. Picturing you and OpenOms sitting next to each other and you thinking in your head, are we in the fucking Matrix here? As he's going through this join market instructions. Man, that made me seriously laugh out loud. It was pretty much, mate. We were sat in a dark little fucking shed while everyone else was playing in the sun, and I was just sat there like trying to work out what was going on. It was, weird experience.
Is this at the beach retreat?
It was, yeah.
Nice.
He kindly somehow got internet down there, like set everything up, did a talk for everyone, spent a load of time like helping everyone. And yeah, in the end, it ended up like me and one other bloke like sat in a shed with him while everyone else like went kite surfing and stuff. So yeah, appreciate you, OpenOms.
Where is OpenOms these days? Do you ever speak to him? I've not heard. He's very quiet on socials.
Yeah, very quiet. I think he just gets his head down and does stuff. He's a real one though. I love OpenOms.
Yeah, +1 to that.
Wartime. Loved the questions and answer format. Good. I think people are liking it, mate.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. We've got a load of questions. Ironically, had no time to prep for most of them because they came in like an hour ago, despite asking multiple times on socials. People like to wait till the last minute and keep us on our toes. But with that said, very grateful to everybody that's getting involved with boosts and with questions. Very much enjoying this new format and working those into the usual updates with the kind of projects that we're interested in.
Solex. Got to head back to RoboSats for more sats to boost. Great work, guys. Follow-up question. Who is visiting me in prison?
Oh, this is in reference to his boost from the previous month, I guess. I think
I'll
he said he
visit
was
you,
going
mate.
straight to jail. Yeah, I'll come and visit you.
We'll probably be there, to be fair.
That's true.
Rev Hoddle. Long live ungovernable misfits. Continue to create harmonious signal music to the ears of Bitcoiners far and wide. Pies. I'm not a Marine. I got my pull-up game from doing half a decade in prison. Yo, I'm ungovernable, mofo. Thank you, Pies. Pull-up game apparently is extremely strong. I tried doing one yesterday and yeah, it didn't go well.
Oh, do you know what I've just realised? We didn't get any input from the FFC, did we?
Oh, yeah, that's true. It's going strong. Still an FFC, still a body disrespector, and yeah, I'll see what happens next month, but it doesn't look like it's going to be changing. Right, a couple more. A load of test boosts from you and that fucking retard Linkin Park rules. Wave says, I can't recommend a better podcast than this one to stay up to date with current events on Twitter. Also, Max told me that he hired an army of whores to edit his videos because he left his coffee. Cheers, guys. I have actually employed an army of whores, so more is getting done around here. Southside. Everyone's a scammer. Enjoy the orgy with a condom. Great advice.
I didn't see that one in the list. That took me by surprise.
Right. Thank you, everyone, for the boosts. Really appreciate it. We look forward to more questions and more comments next month.
Should we hit some software updates and news?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Stack Wallet version 2 has now been released. Stack Wallet is not one we've spoken about at length before now, but they actually have two wallets. They have Stack Wallet, just called Stack Wallet, which supports
Duo.
loads of coins, Bitcoin included, obviously. And then they have Stack Duo, which is kind of a stripped down version, which does just Bitcoin and Monero. But this release is Stack Wallet version 2, and it has support, more specifically, the very first wallet to support Frost Multisig.
Ooh.
We have spoken a little bit about this last time, maybe, more specifically about Bitcoin Frost Multisig. But the TLDR is that it's like a new multisig standard where if you need to do a key rotation because you've lost one of your passports or something like that, you can do that without having to kind of completely reconstitute a brand new wallet with the replacement key. Obviously, you do the key rotation, but you do so in such a way that you don't need to move your funds from the old wallet to the new one. All of the magic kind of happens offline thanks to Taproot, essentially. Obviously, this is early support. Don't go putting all of your Bitcoin savings in there. It's very early, and I believe it's just software only. So you can only test this between like multiple copies of multiple phones, essentially. But very cool that they're pushing the envelope here. Quite ironic that, many people on Twitter would call this a shitcoin wallet. Not myself, by the way. Super ironic that these guys, these quote-unquote shitcoin wallet developers, are the ones that are pushing the envelope and doing all of the hard stuff first before all of the Bitcoin-only wallets. So major hats off to the guys for pushing the envelope here and being the first one out of the gate. I've had a quick poke around. Obviously, I don't have that many phones to start making multisigs just between my phones, so I wasn't able to go all the way and test it, but feels like a very kind of early beta. But yeah, definitely if you're interested in this sort of stuff and learning how it works and how it feels to have like a Frost multisig and then do those key rotations without kind of having to move any funds, give it a go if you've got a couple of phones. Very cool to see.
It's a very nice wallet. I haven't seen the update there. When you're talking about Frost multisig, what springs to mind for me is like maybe companies might be thinking about using this. Would that be a good assumption? Like you might want to rotate someone out even if you haven't lost that key, and then you wouldn't have to move any funds? Or am I looking at this wrong?
No, I think that's a fair assumption. I mean, generally speaking, if you hold a Bitcoin treasury and you've got your keys split between 5 founders, that kind of scenario is probably going to want to do more key rotations for the reason that you just said. Somebody leaves the company, or a new person comes in, or you want to expand the quorum. That type of environment is going to want to do this type of thing more often, so would probably benefit from Frost more. But I'm sure when this is built, the infrastructure around this and all the hardware wallet support is built out in, let's be honest, it's probably going to be like 5 years, that individuals will be able to benefit from this as well. But yeah, I think initially it will probably be the institutions, and I can think that exchanges will probably use stuff like this as well.
Yeah, so you could use it if you lost a key and it's just your own personal setup as well. Yeah, it's pretty slick. Do you think there's still a huge amount of work to be done for this to be more used and supported by more wallets? Or is it just like, it's not that there's that much more work that needs to go into it, it's just maybe like a priority thing for people?
Yeah, probably a combination of both, really. For it to be useful, you need hardware wallet support, which isn't in any of them, to my understanding right now. So, like I say, this is software only, so you'd need multiple copies of Stack Wallet on different phones just to test this out. And most people are not going to do that for their cold storage. So yeah, hardware wallet support first. I guess the easier side of things to fix, which probably doesn't even need fixing that much, is the kind of UX around it. We've got some awesome wallets, Stack Wallet being one of them, with great UX. And Multisig is it's not that new anymore, even in a mobile environment. We've got Nunchuk, Keeper, Blue Wallet, all doing Multisig with pretty good UX. So the fact that it's a Frost Multisig under the hood doesn't really change all that much. There's probably a couple of new screens that would need to be built out around rotating keys and stuff. But again, that's kind of a problem that we already have and is already fixed. So I think mainly it's more of a hardware wallet support type thing.
Okay. For you guys, for example, is it something where you would look at it, you might not know the answer to this, but is it something where you'd look at it and go, we could do this if we threw, the next month at it? Is it something like that? Or is it more that you're just treading carefully because it's something newer and you're not 100% sure until it's been out in the wild for a bit? How do you think about that as a company that creates hardware?
It's always that chicken and egg problem, isn't it? But yeah, speaking through a foundation lens, yeah, we could absolutely look at this and estimate the time taken to add support. Don't speak for the developer team. It's not up to me to make these decisions. But knowing how we operate, we would look at this and think, right, it's very early. The standards are still kind of, I wouldn't say they're still being worked on, but they're kind of still very new and they might have some tweaks. As a small team that's time constrained, that's trying to do a lot with very little resources, we wouldn't look to kind of explore something so new that probably doesn't have any user requirements right now. We would kind of sit back and wait to see how the market unfolds. But, that could be looked at as a bad thing because, like I say, it's a chicken and egg problem that if all of the companies had the same viewpoint, then, adoption would kind of take longer than maybe it should do. But it's always that thing of, you got to be very critical where you spend your resources. And, we've got customers that we know want things that are well established that we know we can implement that will get much more use than this today. Obviously, that's an ongoing thing that we do on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. We're always, scrutinizing the market, seeing what customers are asking for, what the latest trends are, and kind of working ourselves up and down that spectrum as to where we spend our time.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Cool. Next, another ironically, air quotes, shitcoin wallet that's pushing the boundaries before a lot of the Bitcoin wallets. Cake Wallet has added silent payments. So this is very cool. And I think we did cover silent payments last month at length. So if you're wondering if you're wondering what I'm talking about, go ahead and listen to last month's episode. But yeah, Cake Wallet version 4.18 has now been released to the public, and you can now have a reusable silent payment code, which is an on-chain reusable address essentially within your Cake Wallet. So very cool to see, nice. And once again, thankful that they are pushing the envelope and clutching at the straws of what's left of Bitcoin privacy. So very cool to see. And they also alluded to the fact that they are looking to integrate Lightning, I think on an LSP model using the Breeze SDK. So before long, in the space of a couple of months, Cake Wallet has very much kind of jumped onto my radar for a couple of reasons. It has multi-wallet support. It has Monero in there. They're going to be adding Lightning. They've got silent payments. So they kind of like popped onto my radar very recently and kind of jumped very high up the list of stuff that I would like to try.
I'm going to give them a go because I know they've been around for a long time because all the sort of Monero users that I've known for a long time have used it, and them adding these bits and pieces as well. Like if you have Lightning and Monero and silent payments all in one thing, you're like, I could do some cool stuff with this wallet.
Yeah, definitely. I am going back and forth with their support at the moment. I found a bug in switching wallets that's kind of preventing me from going a little bit further in testing it and providing a bit more feedback. But they seem pretty responsive on GitHub and stuff and open to the report. So the only thing I would say about Cake Wallet, and this is very, very minor, and you can absolutely change it, their default color choice in the UI is offensive. It's like this multicolored fucking pink thing, and it just looked god awful. I have got no idea who thought that was a kind of design decision. You can change it in a couple of taps, so don't let that put you off from trying it. And I think they've got quite a number of different themes as well.
Oh, so fuck me, yeah.
You see what I mean?
I'll tell you what that looks like. It looks like a 4 or 5 year old little girl's birthday party.
Yeah, and they've just, like, the adults just dropped all the crayons onto the table and just told them to go mad.
Yeah, no, that's a horrible and offensive design, but we can't let that stop us if they've got good features.
They've got loads of other UI choices that you can make. There's dark modes, there's light modes. So yeah, just poking a bit of fun.
Well, Cake Wallet, if you're listening, love what you're doing. Don't like the design choice, but everything else sounds great. So yeah.
Okay, Bitcoin Keeper version 1.2.7 has been released. What's new here? We have file-based communication enabled for all supporting devices. Canary Wallet, they've added action cards and notify you of key use. And they've updated the health check UX for all types of signers. I have no idea what Canary Wallet is. Do you?
No, I don't.
Okay, bit of homework for me to go and check on that. I'm guessing by the name, I'm going to make a public guess before I go and check it, that it's got to be some type of like maybe a time lock thing. Yeah, like a time lock thing maybe, where if the time lock runs out, it will send your funds elsewhere or something. I could be completely wrong there, so I apologize to the Keeper team. But yeah, once again, they seem to feature every single month. They're always pushing updates, so yeah, good to see. BTCPayServer version 1.13.2 has added support a new plugin for the Bolt cards. Presumably you can charge, here we go, create, top up and check Bolt card balance from all of your BTCPay stores. Point of sale devices. That's pretty cool. So the Bolt cards are like a Lightning NFC thing. So you can now just kind of tap to pay like you would with a credit card for any merchant that has a BTCPay terminal. So getting closer to that kind of Visa experience without the middleman. So once again, BTCPayServer features every month. You know, probably one of the best projects in the entire space, in my opinion, in terms of what they enable and what they've done for the space. So cool to see that they've added that support as well. Yeah, something that we use internally at Foundation every single day. All of our Bitcoin payments run through BTCPayServer. So yeah, very cool. We talked about Zeus earlier. They've now released version 0.9, alpha number 8. They love their alpha releases at Zeus. Layout changes, pending HTLC views, and more. What else have we got? Yeah, just some other support for hardware wallets, which we've talked about at length earlier in the call. But once again, hats off to the Zeus team. I have a question for you on this next one. Peach Bitcoin version 5.0. The title is Group Hug for Everyone. What the hell is Group Hug? Any ideas?
Absolutely no idea. Group Hug.
I'm going to bring you on the journey with me because I'm just about to read the release notes. Group Hug is a transaction batching service that allows users to save on Bitcoin transaction fees. It does not require coordination between users in order to work. Interesting.
Okay.
This does mean...
Is there privacy concerns there?
This does mean that payouts will take slightly longer than before. However, we believe that, again, our users want to stack sats with low time preference, and if we can save them fees by delaying payouts slightly, users will be happy. Yeah.
Privacy concerns?
That's the first thing that kind of jumps to mind here. But I guess, again, just jumping to conclusions here, but obviously Peach is a peer-to-peer service. If your withdrawal or part of that transaction is being batched with other peer-to-peer purchases, then got to be at least an additive, right? Instead of it just being one
In
person.
some respects, yes. In some, no. It's more obvious that it's coming from a service like that, potentially, especially if it's a large batch. I guess it would be kind of more obvious. I suppose you're probably not going to be doing particularly large purchases on Peach, but if someone went in there and like bought a huge sum of Bitcoin and then had it sent out, then someone might then go, oh, okay, this person's got X, and then maybe try and find a way to track them. I don't know, but I don't know. A little bit of an alarm bell goes off, but I guess if we sat and thought about it, maybe not.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a net benefit if you're a Peach user and the fees are going through the
Yes.
roof. If you're part of a batch, it's going to cost you less to withdraw. So obviously that's the main kind of benefit here. So very cool to see, and good to see that they've implemented this and are thinking about the user experience, because Peach is still on-chain only, which makes can make things pretty expensive in high fee environments. So good to see that they're coming up with solutions.
Especially when Peach is more smaller purchases generally.
Yeah, I think they cap it at €1,000, don't they?
Okay, that's still pretty decent size, actually.
Oh, yeah. Phoenix Wallet version 2.2.3 on Android and 2.2.5 on iOS has been released. On Android, they've added buttons to easily add a tip when paying over Lightning. That's pretty cool. I've not seen that one.
Okay.
They've improved payment error messages. They have added new messages regarding liquidity, and they've added a screen to spend expired swap-ins. And I think iOS is pretty much the same, apart from, you can now have a PIN code that is specific to the Phoenix app. It doesn't just default to your phone's kind of operating system PIN code if you have one set. We have a couple of new releases coming up. Bitkit wallet has now officially launched after being in beta for what seemed like an eternity. Bitkit, for those that are not in the know, it's an on-chain and Lightning wallet that kind of operates, I believe, on a single balance where everything's kind of mashed into one. The reason I bring it up here is that I had a very, very quick poke around just to see what the UI looked like, and they did a sterling job. Whoever the designers are behind this, it's a very, very beautiful mobile application. I have no idea how well it works, but purely from just going through the onboarding, just to see kind of, see what the competition's up to. Like they nailed this. I'm a big, big fan of their UI, and it's very, very normie friendly. Seems as though there's, I know it's just been released, so this might be a little bit critical, but it seems like it might be lacking on more of the advanced features. I don't think there's any Tor in there or anything like that yet.
Okay.
So probably not one for the privacy individuals, but definitely one to keep an eye on, because it seems like they have some good design prowess on that team. Civkit Alpha has been released with peer-to-peer order book, escrow, and PGP chats for trades. So Civkit is a relatively new project that's aiming to do a peer-to-peer marketplace that I believe is Lightning native and also uses the Nostr network for the order book. That's about all I can tell you right now, because this is one of my pet peeves, and this is me being a privileged little arsehole probably, but they've released the alpha and I'm just not clever enough to build it from source, so I can't really tell you how good it is or what the UI is like, because you literally have to build it from source. So it does make testing it and providing feedback quite difficult for non-technicals like us. But yeah, another one that I'll be keeping an eye on, and kind of because the premise is cool. It's essentially RoboSats, but without a centralized order book, from what I can read at least. So it'd be cool to see if they can kind of get that over the line and kind of make it a usable product, because we need more solutions like that.
Yeah, I love that you say non-technical users like us. It just shows the levels to this shit when you consider yourself a non-technical user.
Yeah, it's all relative, isn't it? I suppose. And that's a fair comment. But I got really excited about this because I read the headlines. I was like, oh, peer-to-peer marketplace, Nostr, Lightning. This sounds like it's right up my street. And then they were like, yep, here's the GitHub. And then you go to the assets bit, and there's nothing there. And it's like instructions to build from source.
Right.
And I'm like, I could probably do it if I spent like 6 hours hacking away at it and then poked a load of the developers internally at Foundation to help me with it. But like, I just don't have time to do that sort of stuff. So
Yeah.
There probably is some actually technical people listening to this going, you're a fucking retard. Just follow the instructions and you'll be able to do it in 5 minutes, which is probably true if you know what you're doing.
Yeah, there will be. There will be, for sure. And to you, well done, you smug little cunts.
Umbrel OS version 1.2 has been released. This may be of some importance to many listeners. They now have Wi-Fi support, which for the longest time, nodes connecting via Wi-Fi has not been a recommended thing, and probably for good reason.
Yeah, probably.
For obviously for stability, you want your node to be connected all the time. You want it to be stable, and that's why most people say plug it into an Ethernet cable. Fair comment. But
yes,
sometimes, especially in recent years or months, should I say, these node packages are in hardware that looks good. And if you're a little nerd like me, you kind of want it more than likely in a position where it's not in the corner of your front room, right next to the wall, so you can plug it into the router and hide it under the sofa or something like that. Some of these node boxes look really good now. Tanto being a prime example.
Yeah,
I want to show it off. And I can't because of where my router is and where just the layout of the house and stuff.
Do you know what I'm going to do for you, mate? You might not know about this, but there's these things called cables. You can get them in different lengths. So you could actually run one under the floor or through a wall. You can chase it. You can do whatever. It can pop out where you want it, plug it in, and then you can have your beautiful node shown to everyone.
If you think I'm ripping up my laminate flooring or drilling holes into my wall just so I can have my node on show, then you're severely mistaken, sir. All I'm going to do now is activate Wi-Fi.
Okay, fine.
So yeah, Umbrel OS version 1.2, loads of bug fixes, loads of enhancements and performance improvements. But the headline here is that Wi-Fi enjoyers can now enable Wi-Fi and then show off their node box if they want to.
Very nice. I'll add in as well. I'll give a shout out to Umbrel, even though they're not open source and I don't like that. But fuck me, it's the only node I've ever had that's been completely stable. That's just the honest truth. I run it on a shitty old Raspberry Pi. It's been unplugged and just switched off at the power and not shut down properly a million times. It's moved, I think, 5 different times with me to different locations. It just works. It's not open source. It's not the best for privacy. All the rest of it I understand, but it's fucking stable. So respect to them for that.
Yeah, I also have one tucked away in a corner, mainly because some of the consultation calls I do, 99% of the node questions are about Umbrel, so it makes sense for me to have one running so I can reference it. But yeah, that thing's been bomb-proof as well. With that said, I don't kind of use it all that much. But from a normie perspective, if you're just getting into running a node and you want, you're trapped in the Apple walled gardens, then this will feel very familiar to you.
I've just kept mine running for when my other ones go down, which happens. And then I'm like, fuck, what do I do? Right, well, I'll connect to this. Okay, it's still working great. It's bomb-proof.
BISQ version 1.9.16 has been released. Just a small release, improved network resilience and stability. What else have we got? Yeah, that's pretty much it. Shout out to the BISQ team. Have you got any other news or software releases, mate?
I unplugged my miners.
Oh.
Not really news, but too unprofitable now. The amount I was paying for energy, it just wasn't worth it. Just unplug them. They'll sit on a rack somewhere. I'll wait and just see if maybe something crazy happens with prices of ASICs in the next 6 months to a year. And then if that happens, then I'll sell them.
Nice. What were you running? What hardware is it?
300 terahash machines.
Nice. You know what you want to do? Get them shipped back to your house, take all the chips off them, put them on some PCBs and sell them and call them Max Axes.
No one would want them though, would they? It cause electrical fires.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm not doing that. But no, they're just going to sit there because, sometimes that happens. Sometimes the price runs, people can't get their hands on ASICs. The prices of these things goes fucking crazy. Mm-hmm. And then, if they're sat there, you can sell them. Because right now, S19 Pros, which is what they are, I think I've got a 296 terahashes and 100 terahash machine. They're worth like a couple of $100.
Really? Is that all?
Yeah. Like when I bought them, they were worth it was like $10,000 a machine.
Jesus.
Yeah. And so I'm like, what am I going to do with these things? Like, it's too expensive to ship to me. It's like costs more than the fucking machines to ship them to me. So someone has kindly in America said, just don't worry. Like, I'll put them on a shelf for you, and I can sell them for you if something happens. So I'm just kind of like, it's a bit of a gamble where I'm like, I'll just fucking wait and see.
Yeah, that's a rough situation. The from the little I know about mining, now that I'm an expert with all those tera
All
hashes.
that hash.
The market always swings, doesn't it? And I think it tends to follow the price of Bitcoin as well. So I'm sure there'll be another pump where you can offload those bags.
Yeah, that's the hope.
One tangential item that I just wanted to raise some awareness of before we get to the questions. Have you been following this EU chat control bullshit?
I'll be honest, I keep seeing you write about it, and then I go to click on it to look at more info, and I think, I have enough problems in my life at the moment. I don't want to feel sad. Genuinely, I just think, like, I don't want to see this because I know it's bad. I know from the tone of your tweet that this is going to be particularly bad, and I just don't want to deal with it. But now I have to, because I'm speaking to you now. So fill me in.
Well, it actually ends with a very, very small win. So it's not all doom and gloom yet.
Okay.
But the TLDR here is that basically the bureaucrats in the EU, ironically, what have they called themselves? The Innovation Hub, are basically trying to backdoor all encryption chats that are active in Europe, essentially. So basically, the little goblins, probably in Brussels, I guess that's where they seem to hide, basically just want to read all of your chats, so you can't have any privacy. So
Wonderful.
This affects the obvious private apps like Simplex or Signal, but then it also affects Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, all of that's end-to-end encrypted. They want to backdoor it because won't somebody think of the children, Max?
Exactly. You've got to think of the children.
Yeah. They've been fighting for this. It was going to a vote this week to see whether it was going to pass. Many, many companies have already said, look, if this passes, we're just going to pull out. Like, we're not going to backdoor our stuff. Signal being very vocal about this, and great to see. It was supposed to go to a vote, I believe, on Wednesday or something like that. And I think there's been a lot of uproar, understandably, about this. And either because of the uproar or that plus a combination of they realised that they didn't have enough support for it internally to pass the vote, they've postponed the vote, presumably so they can do some more internal networking and get the other goblins on board to get this passed. A short-term win for now that it's been pushed back, and it seems like it's not going to be a landslide vote. But once again, if this does get passed, like what this means for Europe, God knows, because there was a great article by Lola Leitz, who has a new kind of blog called The Rage. She's got some great write-ups on this, and basically she said that this doesn't just apply to chat, because this could apply to any form of encryption. So if you are fans of blockchains that have got like zero knowledge proofs and all that sort of stuff, the law that's getting passed here could be applied to all of that as well. So it's not just a case of we want to see your chats. It's like we want to break encryption everywhere. And it's just so horribly egregious. It's analogous to, this is not my analogy, I read it on Twitter somewhere, but it's like putting a surveillance camera in every house in the land just in case somebody does something naughty at home.
Yeah, you can't trust the citizens.
It's like, you wouldn't stand for that, would you?
I don't know.
You wouldn't stand for that.
I don't know. I think a lot of people would. I think people
That's
actually put these cameras in on their behalf. I genuinely think that we are just the minority, and the majority of people just nod along. And I don't think that they think deeply enough about, like, they're like, yeah, well, if you're not doing anything wrong, you've got nothing to hide. You've got to save the children, not the ones that we're dropping bombs on, but the other children. But it is worrying. It is scary. I don't know what we take from this other than...
Let's take a positive, right? We have open operating systems like Graphene, where you can sideload applications.
Yeah.
And we have free and open source applications like Signal, like Simplex, that you can run. And unless somebody is stood over you, they cannot stop you installing it.
Good points.
Beauty of open source. All right, mate. Question time.
Here we go.
How do you want to do it? Do you want to read them, or do you want me to read them, or should we take it in turns?
I think you read them. I do the boosts. Okay. You do the questions.
Sounds good to me. I'm going to read the first question. I'm going to let you answer it, because this is the most important question of the lot. And it comes from our good mate, Ben Gunn, on Noster. And he asks, is Max still a wanker?
Of course he does. Fucking Ben Gunn. I can confirm, mate. Always have been, always will be. That's why we're friends.
Got to pass the time somehow, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah. Hi, Ben, by the way. We need to go for a beer soon.
He's one of the worst blokes you'll ever come across. He's so into his Noster stuff. He's one of the people that badgers me all the time about Noster. Oh, you're a Noster yet, mate? No, I'm not. Shit. Well, you fucking should be. It's fucking brilliant. I love Noster.
That was quite a good impression, actually.
That's exactly what he sounds like.
He did have a genuine question as well. He said, are layer 2s closest to the solution on private TXs now? I'm not sure whether he was stoned when he wrote that question because the grammar's chronic. But I think I get what he's trying to ask. Basically, is layer 2, which essentially all we have that's working right now is Lightning.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the closest solution to a private transaction right now?
Fucking hope not.
What's your take on this first before I dive in?
I fucking hope not. No. Lightning for sending is pretty decent if you open a channel with postmix, which isn't really possible anymore unless you already have some. And it's terrible if you're receiving and not really, no. People are going to get really annoyed with me for this, but I'm thinking that maybe the layer 2s are not actually the answer right now. We don't have anything, and maybe it's actually going out to the side if you need some privacy and then coming back in.
Yeah. There's again, I think we kind of covered this a little bit last month, but it's something that I've reassessing my own personal approach to things lately and been considering layer 2s and alternative solutions because the obvious and the best one just got kneecapped. I think, spending on Lightning is kind of like my default at the moment whenever I need to spend because of the kind of guarantees that it gives you from a privacy perspective. But as always with all of these layer 2s, you've got to get in there somehow. So you still have to interact with UTXOs, you still have to obtain them, and you still have to get them to a Lightning node somehow. And depending on how and where you do that, there's various different trade-offs. If you're just buying a UTXO on Coinbase and then sending it to Wallet Satoshi, then you don't have great privacy. Yes, you might have better spending privacy from then on. Obviously not from Wallet Satoshi because they see everything that you do, but it's a difficult one because there's so many different ways that you can kind of approach this. But I think from a spend perspective, it's good, but you've got to think about this stuff holistically and think about how your UTXOs are getting to that layer 2 in the first place, because that you can quickly kind of shoot yourself in the foot or tell yourself that you have more privacy than you really do at that point. But I guess you could look at it as, to draw an analogy with CoinJoin, that if you do get the sats into your Lightning node, you can look at it as having good forward privacy from then on, because the transactions will be quite difficult to track across the Lightning network due to its kind of, don't want to say stateless, but there's no permanent record there, is there? So I think it's definitely one of the best solutions that we have right now.
Could we say that if you have a UTXO that you can open a channel with on your own node and use only for spending on Lightning, that's pretty good? And for receiving, don't ever receive there. That would be very bad. What about this as a solution? Have a phone, router level VPN, and then a VPN on top of that. And then you have something like Graphene running on it. You download something like Wallet of Satoshi onto that phone. You'd have to use whatever it's called, the like spoofing thing on F-Droid, and then you receive to that, because even though Wallet of Satoshi would know everything that you do, they don't know who you are, and then no one outside of that does either, because it's kind of like a massive sort of custodial mixer thing, and you just don't keep a lot in there. I know that's kind of like not the thing you're supposed to say, but wouldn't that kind of work?
Yeah, you said a lot of words there, and I kind of got lost halfway through. But I think
you're like, nothing that you said just makes sense. Like, you fucking retard.
It sounded a bit Rube Goldberg-y to me, but I think I know where you're heading. And I think the thing I keep coming back to with this is, like, everybody always asks, like, oh, what's the best privacy thing? Or am I private if I do X or Y or Z? And it's like, always answer the question, who are you trying to be private from?
Yeah,
right.
Good point.
If you want to get privacy from Coinbase, then if you spend from, if you deposit it to Wallet Satoshi and then spend from Lightning, Coinbase don't know where your spends are going. So you've got privacy from Coinbase, but then you've just moved the needle a little bit and now you've got no privacy from wallet of Satoshi. So it's like trade-offs all the way down, and you've got to think about the entities that you're interacting with. What information can they see on what you're doing, and which is the most important for you to have privacy from? Because to try and achieve perfect privacy right now with the tools that we have available, you either end up spending loads of sats on fees, or you end up building a Rube Goldberg machine like the little ramble that you just went on, where you've got like VPNs over VPNs and Tor inside your back pocket. And I know I'm being facetious here, but you get what I'm trying to say.
Can I just explain that in a more simple way? What I'm saying is, for receiving, if you were to have a separate phone that's running something like Graphene, and you only connect over Tor or over multiple VPNs, and you were to have something custodial like Wallet of Satoshi that you download and it's not linked to your identity in any way because you're doing it over VPNs or Tor, and you only receive to that, so you only have Lightning receive, that is not the worst option. It's a better, more private option, in my opinion, than it would be to receive to the same wallet that you send from, because then you're giving away a load of information that you probably shouldn't. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that makes a bit more sense. I think the extra phone is kind of overkill, especially if just have a separate wallet on the same phone, and just as long as it connects via Tor, then you could achieve the same thing. Just seems like overkill to have it all separated.
This is true. It's just like, if you've got old phones kicking about and you think, oh, I just want to use this. That's what all I'm thinking. Because a lot of people might say, oh, well, I don't want to have this on my daily driver. They might be using iPhone or whatever. And then it's like, okay, well, I've got this thing in the drawer. I can run it on an old Pixel 3 or whatever they want to do. It's like 50 quid. And then it's just, that that's separate, and that it only is used at home. And you're not going to suddenly forget to have the VPN running because it only is always running, and you're not going to fuck up. That's more the thing.
Yeah, I'm with you.
But I get it. It's cunty. It's fucking annoying. It's shit. It's not easy. It's not good. 99% of people are going to make mistakes and fuck up, myself included, because it's really hard. So that's the state.
Okay, next question from Twat in TSB. He sent this with a 50,000 sat boost, so thank you very much, sir or madam. Question for Q&A. At the end of the next episode, I spun up an Envoy wallet the other day, and it was really slick. Thank you, sir. But when will I be able to add a passphrase to it? Blue Wallet recently added send functionality to their Bit47 implementation. Did not know that. Did we cover that?
Don't think so.
Oh. Okay, that's cool. And is this on the Envoy roadmap? Passphrase will be coming later this year. It's already built and designed. We just kind of need to do the implementation thing. It is on the short-term roadmap. And Bit47, is it on the Envoy roadmap? Yeah, more longer term at the moment. We're kind of just waiting to see what the support for silent payments looks like as well, because we kind of don't really want to do both. Mm-hmm. Because that could be pretty confusing from a UX perspective. So we're kind of just seeing how that goes over the course of the next couple of months or so before we make a decision on, which one we want to prioritize first. Mm-hmm. Not saying we couldn't do both if both continue to gain continued use, but we're kind of just, it goes back to what we said before around small team being and picking your battles. So definitely something that we're considering, but I would be unable to give you a timeline on the Bit47 stuff.
Okay.
Rev Hoddle sent his question with a sats boost of 12121, 12,121 sats. Thank you, sir. What are some good here we go. What are some good hypothetical privacy-preserving ways to earn Bitcoin utilizing Ecash to Lightning to cold storage? Earn via Ecash, send to LN channel, send on-chain via submarine swap, then send on-chain to cold storage. Utilizing thresholds to minimize risk and reduce fee burden in future, ending up with 500k to 1 million sat UTXOs in cold storage.
Another Rube.
Yeah.
How did you say it? Rube Goldberg machine.
Rube, R-U-B-E.
Machine.
Just Google it on images and you'll see what I mean. So he wants to go from Ecash to Lightning to cold storage. So again, right, all of those hops are going to add complexity. They're going to add fees, and they're going to add time, and they're going to add piece of information that you're sharing with either the mint runner, the LSP, if the Lightning channel is with an LSP, the submarine swap provider, when you go from Lightning to on-chain, and then you hit the chain after that. So I'm not saying that that is a bad approach, because with each step you're kind of distancing yourself from this journey here. Starts by earning Ecash. So with each step that you add, you're kind of distancing yourself from whoever it was that paid you.
Yeah.
Although you could argue that if they paid you in Ecash, that, you know, that is a pretty good privacy level in the first place. But, well, I was going to actually suggest that why do the custodial bit up front, because you could just get paid in Lightning. But then we come back to the issue of, okay, well, how do I receive privately?
Yeah.
But to go back to it, okay, let's say I'm earning and I get paid in Lightning to my Phoenix wallet or to my Zeus wallet. All right, I'm a node runner, okay? Goes straight to my node. Not wonderful. You know, the person that pays me can see my node and my UTXO. But then the next step on this journey from RevHodl says I'm going to send on chain to using a submarine swap service. The person that paid me via LN wouldn't know that I've done that because they can't see my Lightning channel payment. So that brings me back to, is the Ecash part necessary? Probably not. And you could do that all the way down the chain. It's like the chain of events is what I mean, not the blockchain. I'm sorry that I don't kind of have a kind of definitive answer for this, because there's a lot of moving parts there. The thing that jumps out to me would be, do you need to do the custodial bit up front? Is it additive from a privacy perspective? Yeah, potentially. But is it worth the trade-off where you could just go straight to LN and still get good privacy from the person that's paying you anyway? I mean, that would probably be my initial assumption. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I would probably agree with that. There's a lot of jumps and hops and fees and everything there. I think maybe it could be cleaner. You could just receive in Lightning, and you could either do a submarine swap, or you could do a swap to XMR and back, or you could do... It also depends what you want to do. He's saying he wants to have the sats in cold storage.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what you could do is say, all right, well, if I want to spend some of this, then maybe I could receive in Lightning, swap out to XMR, and then purchase gift cards using that. And that would be like a 1% fee, which is probably the same as a submarine swap anyway. And then there'd be less fees on the purchase. You would get your gift cards or whatever you want to do your shopping or pay for your petrol or whatever. That would be a different use case. But for what he's saying, I don't think he's probably far off. I think that's probably about as good as it gets.
Yeah, and just to take my Ecash hater hat off for a minute and look at it from another perspective, just a reminder, we've got Ecash to Lightning channel to submarine swap to on-chain to cold storage.
Yeah.
A lot of steps. The Ecash enjoyers would say, well, you don't need to send it to a Lightning channel. You could go straight from Ecash. The way that Ecash works is when you send between mint or out of the mint, it's just a Lightning payment. So you could go straight from the Ecash mint to the submarine swap service, and just miss out the bit where you send it to your own LN channel, and you probably still got good levels of privacy. So there's so many different ways that you can cut this. And the bit that is annoying to me is that it's so hard to get a gauge on kind of measuring how successful or how private something like that would be. Versus, I was in Whirlpool, I put my UTXO in, I'm one of those 5 people.
Yeah.
I mixed again, I'm one of those 9 people. I mixed again, and it just grows exponentially. It's measurable, it's easy. I can just look at numbers on a screen, and I know I can get a good feel for, okay, that's good to go to cold storage. Now, it's just a sign of the times that we're even having these conversations of jumping through all these hoops to try and gain a good level of privacy. So,
well, we had fill at stake, and now we've got spam, basically, is the case.
That's a great summarization. Wartime sent a boost with 3,333 sats, and his question was, what's the difference between Simplex encryption type and PGP? Would Simplex... Also, quick question, quick diversion. Simplex or Simple X?
Simplex.
Would Simplex be better since it uses double ratchet, which is more secure in the event of key leaking, whereas if your PGP keys get leaked, they can read all your conversations with that key?
Good point.
I think you summarized it beautifully. There's not really a great deal much more than I can add, to be honest with you. Yeah, Simplex and I believe Signal as well, and I think a couple of others of these private messengers use what's called double ratchet encryption, which basically means that your chat history isn't leaked if one of your recent keys is leaked. Now, how one of the recent keys would be leaked is kind of, I'm not entirely sure, because the way in which these apps work is that you generally have like one big master secret to back up. I guess, yeah, if that got leaked and then, the attacker inserted it into another instance of Simplex or Signal, that they wouldn't be able to pull up your message history. So that's kind of the beautiful part of the double ratchet encryption. Whereas, yeah, if you've done everything with manual PGPs, if your master key gets leaked and the attacker has access to your encrypted messages, wherever, whether that's via email or something, then yeah, everything that you've ever said is completely pwned.
That's true. What I was wondering with that, though, is, if you're sending PGP messages, you're sending that like message block. Most of the time, whenever I've used it, I'm sending that over different apps and different places. It's not like all those blocks are stored and messages are stored in one place, if that makes sense. Because you can chuck them anywhere. So it would be like in a group message, from 3 months ago, and then it would be over text message or email or whatever, wherever it is. So it's not like they're all stored in one place that someone goes, right, okay, I've got your PGP key. Now I'm going to just read all your messages because they're all just stored in this one place. So I get his point, but you can probably answer this as well. So I still would prefer using PGP only because I'm not smart enough to understand what's completely under the hood of Simplex. And I know that I'm still relying on their server. I don't run my own instance because much smarter people than me who have run it have had problems. And they're like, oh, fucking hell, I just reverted back to using theirs. So I'm still, if something's really sensitive, I would still sway towards using PGP rather than that because I don't understand what's being stored and how and all the rest of it. So can you answer that a bit?
Yeah, fair concern. With the Simplex stuff, the way I understand their architecture is that, yes, you can run your own server, but the way in which that they manage all of the metadata, like who you're talking to, when you're sending your messages, obviously they don't see Max is talking to Q. They see Simplex user is talking to this Simplex user, but they handle that metadata in such a way that even the default server doesn't learn that type of stuff because they do it through hops and they kind of pause the traffic. And, all of this stuff is, I'll be open and honest and say that it's way above my head. But my understanding is that they handle that metadata very cleverly so that even if you are using the default server, that you're very private. Obviously, your chats are end-to-end encrypted, but also your metadata is very well protected. So I personally wouldn't have a major issue in, well, I do use the default server. I've never ran my own Simplex one, and it's not really a big concern to me.
Okay.
So for me, that's just not a big concern.
So you'd feel just as comfortable if someone says to you, all right, can you send your personal address or you want to send whatever, you send something that would reveal some personal information, you'd feel just as comfortable using Simplex as you would with PGP.
Yep.
Okay, interesting. The experience of using Simplex is way nicer than PGP.
Oh, yeah.
It's not even in the, like, Simplex is not as nice as Telegram, but it is... Or Signal. But it is a million times nicer than PGP. PGP is fucking horrible to use. It's great. Like, don't get me wrong, it's an amazing thing, but, like, fuck me. Every time I do it, I'm like sending test messages and, have I definitely got... I'm not sharing my private key, am I? This is definitely my public key. Oh, yeah, no, it is. Okay, right. How do I encrypt this message again? Oh, I do this. Right. Now I got to... Right, and now they're sending it back to me. Right, now it's just fucking...
horrible.
It is horrible. And I don't think you can send GIFs, which is a major problem for me because I like to communicate.
That's your main
GIFs.
Language, isn't it?
Pretty much, yeah, because I can't speak or read or write. So GIFs is the way forward for me, and I can't do that with PGP. So, yeah, big problem.
And just to kind of pad out my answer as to why I, to your previous question of why I would feel comfortable doing that is, again, open source, right? Do I think that the Simplex client has had hundreds of thousands of eyes on it? No, probably not. But I know that at the very least there's going to be a handful of people that would have checked the core claims of the app, i.e., is the chat end-to-end encrypted? Is it encrypted before it leaves this device? I'm almost certain that would have been checked by multiple people, if not hundreds of people. And that's kind of the main important thing for me. It's an open source client. I can verify the binaries, I can check the hashes, and I'm very, very safe in the knowledge that at least a couple of very clever people would have checked the basics here, that is it encrypted before it leaves my device. So that's good enough for me. Next question, I'm going to let you take the lead on this one. Tommy50107317 on Twitter said, Ecash / Fedimint, good, bad, or ugly?
I think we're fairly aligned on this. Like,
We are.
I don't love that it's custodial effectively. I don't necessarily love the amount of hype and the way that it's being pushed, because usually things that are sort of pushed in that way end up being quite shit. I feel like it's sold as like a we've won kind of thing, like this is going to solve all our problems, and I think it's far from that. But I do think it's kind of cool in some ways and has some use cases. And if you chuck it into a Rube Goldberg machine, which I just looked up, it's if you chuck it into that mix, it's probably got some cool shit you can do with it. So I don't know. It's I don't think it's bad. It's not ugly. It's just like it's distinctly average. That's what it is.
Nice. Yeah, so my take depends how you frame these things. If you look at it through the lens of this is a bank that you have good level of privacy from, then yeah, pretty cool. If you're okay with using a bank and giving up custody of your Bitcoin to somebody else who could rug you right now if they wanted to, and you're okay with that, with the amounts that you want to use, cool, go ahead and use that private Bitcoin bank, because that's what these things are. Looked at through any other lens doesn't really make much sense to me. And the open question that I get some shit for asking, but is nobody's given me a kind of good answer to yet, is
what it's going to be.
In today's regulatory environment, who is going to run a public mint?
Yeah, very good question. Excellent question. But if people are going to run the mints, it is a big improvement in my eyes compared to a custodial Lightning wallet like Wallet of Satoshi. If you say like which is better out of these two, no question, it's better. It's much better. It's a big improvement. Yeah. And let's be honest, like 80% of Bitcoin Twitter and the people that are on stage at conferences and doing gay little fucking TikTok videos and sharing all this stuff in El Salvador, doing silly little dances and buying pupusas, most of those idiots are using Wallet of Satoshi. And when they're telling people about Bitcoin, they're telling them use Wallet of Satoshi. That's what these people are using. So actually, for those people, this is a massive improvement, and it is most people. So maybe it's good. Maybe we're being more critical than we need to be, because they're never going to be doing the things that we're doing and talking about the things that we're talking about, because it doesn't make good viewing. It doesn't make good TikToks. They need to be short and sharp and snappy and easy.
Yeah. The other thing to consider here is that often Fedimint and Cashew type products get lumped in together because they both use the underlying Ecash technology. Mm-hmm. But for me, they're very, very different, and they have very, very different trade-offs. Like the Cashew model is single sig, where one person holds your Bitcoin for you and provides you with a service. Not good. Or the Fedimint model, where they could be up to 15 different signatories. That's a distinctly different trade-off model. Yes, you're still giving up complete custody control of your Bitcoin. Again, not a good idea. But if you're okay with that trade-off, I'd much rather trust 10 or 15 people have got to collaborate to rug pull me versus one person. So there is a distinct difference in the trade-off model there that's also worth considering when you kind of have this conversation.
Yep, agreed.
Jocelyn Nui on Noster asks, thoughts on Liquid, Lightning, and privacy? I think we kind of covered most of this. Liquid, you can kind of just lump it into the previous conversation and class it as a Fedimint. That's basically pretty what much. It is. I'll probably get shot down in the comments for that, but it's a multisig where you give up custody of your Bitcoin, you get a different asset, and you can then benefit from the properties of that asset. Fast transaction, cheap, blah blah blah, all of the same things. They're all in the same boat to me. So if you're comfortable with giving up custody of your Bitcoin to take advantage of those, go for it.
Can I say something really controversial? What is the fucking difference between something like that and just swapping out to another chain? You are literally paying a fee to go into another asset with another name and another token that behaves differently to what you currently have, and then you use that in the way you want to use it, and then you go back into Bitcoin and pay a fee to go back into Bitcoin. What's the fucking difference? It's got a different name, and like you can be like, yeah, I'm like totally Bitcoin, man. You can do all that stuff. You can say those things, but you're still doing the same thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely fair comment, and quite ironic that the pushback that a solution like that gets, where arguably some of these other chains that might be interesting to people for different benefits would be more decentralized and obviously self-custodial versus giving up custody of your Bitcoin to get hold of a liquid token or a Ecash token. Yeah, it's funny that gets so much pushback, but yeah, once again, we're very aligned there. Up Only BTC on Twitter asks how to know our seed words cannot be extracted from a hardware wallet like Coldcard. Well, I guess unless you're a cryptographer and you have the ability to kind of attack these things, which basically nobody does, then you are trusting people that build the devices and build the secure elements on these devices, of which, this is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Like, they're not just, these things aren't just thrown together. Decades of experience has gone into putting these devices together, and more specifically the secure elements on these devices to be built in such a way that they are very, very, very resistant to even very complex attacks. So yeah, there's obviously trust involved unless you're a cryptographer or a hardware engineer that knows exactly how secure elements work. But these are long-standing things, and secure elements are in everything, including your phone, and are very well tested against common attacks
and tested openly. Well, I'd add to that other hardware wallet companies do attack each other and spend money to try and extract seeds. If they can do it, then it's very good for them to do it so that they can say, oh, well, this one's shit, you should use us. If there is vulnerabilities and these things are easily attackable, like I think Trezor was pretty trivial to extract for a long time. I don't know if that's still the case, but then these other hardware wallet companies are going to talk about that because they're going to say, well, don't buy from them because it's shit. Buy from us because we're good, and vice versa. So you can kind of be relatively safe in the knowledge that these things become public quite quickly when things can be extracted.
Yeah. If you want to kind of learn a bit more and see what these kind of attacks or tests look like, have a search for Ledger Donjon. Ledger is one of the companies that literally spends millions of dollars kind of attacking these things. You'll see the level that you need to go to. The thing I want to sign off with here is that to give a very critical answer to how to know if seed words cannot be extracted, every single hardware wallet, no matter who makes it, is vulnerable to attack. The crucial part is how resistant or how much money and how many hours do you need to try and attack this device before you can get close to extracting a secret. And the short answer is most of them, you need millions of dollars worth of equipment, and you need unfeathered access to the device in a very controlled environment with a lot of knowledge. So they are more than good enough to protect you against, well, obviously common attacks, but even very, very, very complex ones that cost a lot of money and take a lot of time.
Yeah, you need lasers and a lot of time and equipment. And from what I've heard before is like, even with all the equipment, you could potentially try and do it, and then you cause too much damage.
Yep, that was exactly what I was about to say.
It's not even like, oh, they can do it every time. It's like sometimes they can and sometimes they can't. And the other thing I'd add to it is like, if you're really paranoid and you think, right, for whatever reason, someone with millions of dollars is going to come after me and try and A, find the hardware wallet, B, then trying to extract the seed. And even if they did extract the seed, we'll maybe just put a passphrase on top of it anyway, because then that would mitigate against that. But even in that case, then it's like, well, maybe create the seed on the hardware wallet and then maybe wipe it and then store that somewhere else in a different way where they're not going to be able to get hold of it. So there are ways around it.
Yep. Or multisig as well.
Or multisig. Apparently there's some good guides coming out on that.
There are, yeah. I think if you, you listening on Fountain, if you scroll down and check out the show notes, they might be there for you.
Ooh.
Mr. Black Coffee on Noster asks
Never heard of
what
him.
the user, who's that? Ask what the Frost user experience is like on Stack Wallet. Well, I think we covered that earlier.
Yep.
The reason he asks that is him and I were talking about this not so long ago. We were about to try and test it out, and we just hit some networking roadblocks, so we had to call it a day. But yeah, I covered it earlier, mate, and hopefully I'll have a chance to give it a poke around in the next month. Last one, just Brian, also on Nostr, says BOLT12. I'm confused. What's in the wild and what's planned for the future? For example, I can make a BOLT12 offer, but is it private / unrooted, or as of right now, is it exposing my public node when I use an offer? Okay, so BOLT12, quick recap, is the kind of reusable code for Lightning, currently only in Core Lightning. LND are still messing around with Taproot assets and all that bullshit to implement cool stuff like this. What's in the wild? Not a lot, unless you like delving into the command line. I believe there's no web UIs for this just yet, so it's not going to be accessible to the average normie, myself included. And on the privacy side of things, this does not hide your node. The way that this works is essentially the person who wants to pay you via your BOLT12 offer uses this kind of, I guess you could call it like a rendezvous point, and your BOLT12 offer is essentially a signpost to your node so that they know where to go to speak to your node through the Lightning Network to then request an invoice to pay. So it doesn't hide your node. There's other things afoot for that, but this is more for, it fixes the problem of you needing to run a BTCPayServer with a web UI, so that and host that web server, so that somebody, if they want to pay you, they then have to go to your BTCPayServer.com and say, okay, I want to pay in Lightning. With a BOLT12 offer, you wouldn't need the web server side of things. You could just have a QR code with your BOLT12 offer in your Twitter profile, and then the compatible wallet will just scan the QR code, and then all of the communication then is done by their wallet application through the Lightning Network to your node. So it kind of removes that need for a web server for payments. It's just a kind of signpost to say, I'm just Brian, scan this QR code and you can find what you'll know where to find my node and ask it for invoices.
Very nice. Is that all the questions?
That is all the questions.
We covered sort of the same topics a lot there. Feels like everyone's thinking the same sort of thing.
Yeah, everybody wants to know about Ecash because everybody's talking about it. Nobody knows what the best privacy route to go from buying to cold storage is. And everybody's still waiting for BOLT12. Yeah, so yeah, you're probably right there.
Okay. Well, if that's everything, we'll wrap it up there. I'll get editing and get this out as soon as possible. Any other bits to cover?
Nope, just want to say thanks again to all the boosters and the question givers. Really fun part of the show, and really do want to keep it running. So if you're listening and you have a question, send it in. Oh, and free Samourai.
Of course, free Samourai. There might be something dropping in a few hours related to that.
Looking forward to it.
All right. Cheers, mate. Speak to you soon.
See you, mate.
Thanks for listening. I really hope you enjoyed that. If you get value from this show, please do consider sharing this with friends or family. It all helps us grow. And if you haven't yet checked out ungovernablemisfits.com, go and have a look. We've got articles, we've got podcasts, clothing, artwork, and much more. If you have any questions about the topics we've discussed, or you have any other topics you'd like us to cover, you can boost us, you can tweet us, I think you can Nostr us, but you have to do that through QnA because I can't be asked. Catch you on the next one.